How deadly is Ebola, and what would happen to your body if you got infected? If you were to get infected with Ebola, you'd probably feel some symptoms you haven't felt before. Things like intense fever, weakness, and unimaginable pain. You will also experience some bleeding, but that wouldn't be the interesting part. Transmission from animals to humans typically occurs through the consumption of bushmeat, which is the meat of wild animals hunted for food. It can also be transmitted through contact with infected bodily fluids, both of which are pretty easy ways to contract the virus. The interesting part would be what was happening to your immune system on a cellular level. Your immune system would quickly notice the virus and start creating antibodies against it. But unfortunately, the virus has other plans. This is why it's so important to contain the virus. For example, the Zaire Ebola virus is highly transmissible and causes severe hemorrhagic fever with a case fatality rate of up to 90%. On the other hand, the Sudan Ebola virus has a lower case fatality rate, ranging from 25 to 90%. Of course, the best way to avoid getting infected is to not come into contact with the virus in the first place. Avoid eating bushmeat. Wear protective clothing when handling potentially infected animals. Wash your hands thoroughly after being in contact with animals, and don't share needles. Also avoid contact with bodily fluids from infected people, and always practice good hygiene. If you do get sick, seek medical attention immediately. Early detection and treatment can improve your chances of survival. There is no cure for Ebola, but supportive care, including rehydration, can help increase the chances of survival. If infected people aren't contained, they could spread the virus further, possibly causing a pandemic. One of its proteins, VP24, stops your immune system from producing interferon, which is a type of protein that helps our bodies fight off viruses. At this point, you would definitely feel like you had the flu, but you would probably be too weak to get out of bed. A recent clinical trial showed that an experimental Ebola vaccine was 100% effective at preventing the virus from progressing to severe disease. The vaccine worked by stimulating the production of antibodies that target the GP protein on the surface of the virus. These antibodies prevented the virus from entering cells and starting the infection process. Once inside your body, the virus targets certain cells, particularly those with receptors for a protein called TIM1. As the infection progressed, the virus would start to attack multiple organ systems, leading to shock and death. Without interferon, your immune system would be largely ineffective against the virus. Your body would start to attack the virus, but the virus would also be attacking your body at the same time. And more of your immune cells would be infected, turning into factories for making Ebola virus particles. These newly created particles would then be released into your bloodstream, causing even more damage and starting the cycle all over again. There are 5 species of Ebola virus, and 4 of them cause disease in humans. But this is where things get really weird. The bleeding that occurs in patients isn't fully understood, but it may have to do with the virus's impact on blood vessels. And you're not going to like what's going to happen to you next. In most cases, people who die from Ebola bleed profusely from multiple orifices. You're going to feel so much pain from all the damage the virus is doing to your body. And you're going to bleed out everywhere, but you are too weak to even move. So how likely are you to survive an infection? Well, it depends on which strain you get. Vaccines have been developed for certain strains of the virus, but they're not yet widely available. While this vaccine is still in the experimental stages, it offers hope for a future where we can protect ourselves from this deadly virus. And while it may be scary to think about contracting a deadly virus, it's important to remember that knowledge is power. Do not allow yourself to get infected by this deadly virus. I hope you learned something from this video. Please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button to help this channel out. Stay safe, everyone, and thanks for stopping by.